could you update us on Claudia's dream of what happened to the corporate officers and also the chemtrail pilots? Can you give us an update on what's going on there?
Did you hear the video that Claudia when she was talking?
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
the original, yes.
Okay. Uh, well, they're realistically, their awareness is stuck in the phantom zone because of what they've decided. And, I asked that this be done. Certain things, we're going through a lot of order of things along these lines. That's just it. They're just, I picked the four, which was Susan Miller, Peter, Skelsky, Harold, and Joni as the major ones, seeing if others will pay attention. Just like on Orion and the Syrians, they did pay attention, but they still have an attitude about things. And so again, we'll see. They're part of the One World Order too. All of them are very arrogant. And then we didn't talk about this, but I'll just briefly say we did several of the presidents too, and all their buddies and friends. And so, and Trump was included too, and he was really a knucklehead. He actually shrunk in front of Rebazar, that he was so adamant about his nonsense. But he's paid to do that. These people are all paid to do that. So that's the basic idea. There's a bigger plan to all this. That's coming about, and we'll see. Again, it's also agreement. These people and the chemtrail pilots of the world were given an ultimatum to stop this, which again, what you're hearing is political stuff. It's just talk. And so the reality of what takes place, that becomes so. So at first, people are going to talk it up because it's a literal world, and it's going to sound good, and a lot of people are going to be happy at that, but it's just talk. And so the reality is, you look up in the sky, the chemtrails are still there, the fires are still going on, everybody's being poisoned by Monsanto, etc. So again, it's another diversion. So the reality of what takes place is really agreement. So we'll see. So I just wait. So I put in the request for these things because there's a bigger plan that we're doing, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But right now, the reality of themselves is in the phantom zone. These people have been put away, and many others, but their bodies are still here, running on automatic. You see, things are automatic. So it's just like a machine. Just like your computer's on whatever, it's on automatic. You don't have to be there. Once the computer's on, it's running itself. It's doing its own systems or whatever. You come along, the individual in the body makes new choices, but still you can have a body, they're still connected to those bodies that are here. The bodies just don't die just because the awareness is there. Just like Harry, that's in a solid blackness, he still has a body here. He's still running his body. There's part of his awareness still running it. And so it's very interesting how it works. So again, there's always a lot more to it. These are just the first parts of it. I don't take it for granted. There's too much to it. And so again, our personal side, we all of a sudden just accept the ideas that, oh, okay, it's all done. Well, no, it's not. There's a lot to it. It's just like just because you have the idea for planting your crops doesn't mean the crops are planted. That's just the first part. You still got to go out there, work the soil, and do everything else, and get the seeds and water, etc. But we live in an idea world where pretty words seem to take first place over what's really happening. So again, let's see what really happens. Yes, Rebazar can specify certain things, but and he can put people in the phantom zone, which they've done. But the thing is, we still don't have a lot of agreement. And so it's even gotten to the point, it's like, gee, we're going to have to put everybody there. So the thing is that, yeah, I'm not naive enough to think that, oh, just the first step is going to do it, because it's not. It's not at all. It's kind of like a bratty teenager. Just because you tell them something doesn't mean they're going to listen, because they're going to sneak around and do whatever they want to do anyhow. And then you got to keep going over it and over and over and over it again. So again, not taking anything for granted, because again, you will see the end result. So put in this request, and the chemtrail pilots and whatever, and actually they've got so much time, which is just about run out, and we'll see, and done this before, and still see the chemtrails in the sky. They're not listening. They don't care. Yeah, it takes a lot. So this is why it takes lifetimes just to get a few ideas across that make sense to pay attention to. So you really have to decide to do that. But again, I don't take anything for granted. None of it. There's just too many steps to go through. So, yeah, what you experience there, Bob, with your bosses and stuff like that, even if when they see it, even if they were to go inside the plane and see where the chemicals came from and see all the containers and watch the spray, they can still say, no, I don't believe it. You see? And that's really how it is, because they don't want it, because they're afraid. It's the biggest thing is fear. So, just like the fires, it's so blatant what they're doing with the lasers, but people are afraid. They're really afraid. The politicians are afraid. They got a gun to their heads. They won't step up and say anything. What did Trump do? He came out here and he said, "Oh, you need to rake up the leaves. He brings a rake." It's like, you need to rake up the leaves. That's the problem. Again, he's paid to be stupid. He's paid a lot of money to be stupid, and he's fine with it. He don't care what people think. He's paid a lot of money, and it's all about the money. People are chasing the money. So, yeah. Life's about awareness. But most people are caught up in their literal side, thinking that is going to resolve something. Never has. It never will. So, yeah, you make the choice. Wake up or don't. But again, the fear factor is huge, and especially in this literalized world. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to rebel rouse with the airline pilots, and I was wondering, maybe you can tell me this. Usually, when we have a real side dream or experience, sometimes we'll remember it. When we wake, we'll say, "Wow, what was that dream about?" Did that happen to the pilots when they were taken on, before Rebazar, and they had that real side judgment? When those pilots woke up the next day, would they have a similar recall of like a nightmare, that they were told that, hey, if I don't stop, I'm going to be, it's over for us? Do they wake up with any recall of that experience?
They can, but again, it just depends upon the personal self, because that's where the sensor comes in, etc. You got barriers, you got attitudes, just like anything. Just like a person can, barricades. Remember the old kings and the castles with the moats around them and the bridges that drew up, etc., so nobody could get in? That's what it's kind of like with the personal self, not wanting anything in. And everybody's a little bit different. Take, for example, your experience with Harry at the, at the seminar. You think Harry, the personal Harry, recognize that? I doubt it. You see? So, getting through to that personal self. And what you're seeing there, too, is part of the personal self and his real intent. And so he's so adamant, and so are these people. Again, they're doing this for money, and there's a gun held to their head. And I've even seen on Facebook where people comment about the chemtrails and whatever, and I've seen people, there's one lady that says, well, my husband, is paid very well to fly these planes and dump all over you people. Ha ha ha. Yeah.
Actually said that?
Yeah. There was I saw another one the other day. I've seen a couple where this one lady I just happened to I was just sharing there Rebazar's picture and some other pictures, and all of a sudden they were talking about chemtrails, so I kind of glanced at the what people were saying, and this one lady said that she said, because there was other people commenting how they were concerned, and she just said, my husband flies these planes and makes really good money and dumps all over you people. Along those lines, yeah.
Wow, what an
Yeah.
attitude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, you see them there. Hey, well, look at the Trump supporters. What kind of attitude did they have? I mean, look at these people and people that love Obama and all these people. Obama's going around, he did Turkey Day in some town to where he was the little chef there and meeting people, and people were so surprised and shocked, and they were so glad to see him or whatever. Yeah, this mass murderer. Worldwide mass murder, and again, I mean, this is how it is. I mean, it's played all sides. So again, I don't take anything for granted. So, they got it. The individuals, when Rebazar did that, they all got it. The whole world is getting it, but each person is deciding, just like you. You're deciding. You see all these people that you've known and that have been in the corporation, and just like Sandy's experience there, yes, the individual on the real side is struggling, just like we did the Marjorie Klemp thing, etc. She's struggling, and she was offered help, and she said no. See? And so again, and your friend there that played the piano or whatever, and just because Rebazar suggested it doesn't mean this person's going to be instantly healed. Because they have free will. Free will's a bitch. Okay? Really is. And so this is the best part about recognizing the real universe is you don't need personal free will. But most people don't want to get past their personal free will. They're thinking that, my free will, this is my freedom, I can decide what I want. Well, basically everything that a person decides, no matter how good it looks, it all leads to their demise. But free will must be so because it's part of cause and effect in creation. And this is the part that's not understood. And this is where the individual puts their free will before their real awareness instead of taking the time to recognize that. Look at the sun shining. Where is the free will? There is none because it don't need it. You see? And so most people can't even imagine or have any insight to what would life be without free will. You see, because you have to recognize that. That becomes the difference. And so most people would rather stay with their personal self that is literalized and making the choices that they do and keep struggling in creation. And so what you also read about Pythagoras, yes, it's very real. This is what I keep hinting at is the pure body. You see? It already is. But most people, again, will focus on their personal self. And there's a lot of steps to that. It's very real. So, all this adds up to what? Mainly, again, I look at this, I look at what's going on. It's just a lot of talking. It's a lot of sound good stuff. And so, again, the end result is, let's see what happens. And changing the system into what? Again, the idea of change. No, I did a group on change, and it's not what you think it is. Changing the system. It's better to start a new position and recognize that and work from that. But to change the old system, it'll still be the same. Thinking that these people are going to get better, they're still in love with their personal selves. Getting past that is huge. That is a huge accomplishment. That's why what I'm presenting now, that the corporation as an example, they're the closest ones to it. That's why I use them as an example to warn them. They're not interested. They're not interested at all. And even when they're confronted, just like Margie and whatever, and told about Rebazar and Paul, whatever, they're not interested. Because they're more in love with their personal arrogance. You're seeing their intent. Yeah, so it's, okay, so what do? What do you do? So you go along the lines of, you know, even the pet store that you're talking about sounds really good. Oh, they're doing organic. Well, you don't think they play all sides? Is there any organic here? Is everything not infected? But it does sound good, yeah, the personal self. And it doesn't matter. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. But, you know, I would rather buy that stuff too, but you don't know what's in it. You don't know what's in anything. Yeah, just like Disneyland, they tell you this the happiest place on earth. Well, you go underground, I don't think it is. Where they kidnap children and bring them there. So again, you know, they play all sides. They do this 24 hours a day like termites. They play all sides. And so this is where people, you know, even when they know about this, they rush after these ideas. They just chase them. I just focus on the isness and this real position. That's what I focus on. That's it. And I watch the world, you know, people trying to make the world better. It's about awareness. It's not about the ideas of changing something. It's not about changing the government so that they'll be nice. We don't need the government. Birds don't need the government. So why would you want to waste your time changing what already doesn't work? See, again, it's choice every moment, isn't it? There you go.
You know, the other day, after you were explaining how you know the four corporate leaders and the pilots would be sent to the Phantom Zone, I wanted a clarification of exactly. And Sandy and I had, you know, gone round and round about this a little bit. The difference between the real side and creation, and the five bodies. And so I went to sleep doing the new you, asking the real guys to show me the difference between the real side and creation, and which bodies are where and what's what. And when I woke up from the dream, all I could remember was there was a stack. There was two stacks. They looked like birthday presents, and they're like little boxes. One stack, the bottom box was the physical astro. It had the five boxes, and it said real side, and right next to it was creation, same exact copy. And on the top of each other was each at the top layer, at the at the etheric level, there was a bow tie, you know, like a birthday present. And that's all I could remember from the dream. I can't remember anything about the explanation, but what Shady and I were wondering about was like when somebody, are we losing you?
Oh, no.
Something popped up here.
Yeah, there. I got it back.
Okay. So when now, if I understand this right, most human beings are bright beings on the real side, and wonderful beings, and they're controlling their five bodies in creation, and we're dealing with that now. When somebody is sent to the Phantom Zone, does their real being, as a bright being on the real side, still exist, or does their bright being that's on the real side get thrown into the Phantom Zone and they're actually taken away from the real side? So I guess the first question would be, you know, I mean, I know I'm getting real literal on you here, but can you explain how that works and which bodies go where and that sort of thing? Is it the real side bodies or the five created bodies that we create? Which part goes where?
Well, nothing really goes anywhere. What you had there is you were looking for an explanation because that's your literal side. And so, but what they did is they gave you a demonstration. You see, they want to bring you along to where, you know, you recognize what's going on. You know, it's like a soldier in boot camp. When they first go through it, they get all these orders and explanations and go through this. Like, okay, now you're going to go do this. You're going to climb the walls. You're going to go under the barbed wire. All this explanation, right? Well, once you've gone through boot camp and now you go out there You know, you've got a basic idea where you're going, you're on maneuvers. Well, when you're out there, you know, the enemy and anything else out there is not going to explain anything to you. You got to pay attention to see the signs, don't you? And what is demonstrated to you. See, so this is the next part. Now, let me explain something here, and that is that everybody dreams, and realistically, we just use this idea because, from the personal point of view, we think at night, "Oh, I had a dream." Well, no, the idea of the real side is to show the real side of creation. That's what the real side is about. In other words, you have this idea about where you're at here. But what happens when we call the dream state, okay? But it's really the real side. It is demonstrating. It's an area that's demonstrating to you what's going on with the personal self, because you need that personal self to eventually recognize the isness. So, you know, each person in creation is going to handle their bodies or whatever according to what they decide is all. It's really very simple stuff. So they gave you a demonstration of one particular way to do it. And really, the boxes, that's what they are. You know, it's just like your house. It's a box. You know, you're in that box. And for the most part, a lot of people have, because they're very attached to their personal self. They have a lot of experiences with their house and the activity that's going on in their house. And many times those are individuals, or the individuals represent ideas that they have in their house because of specific attitudes that each person has. Somebody they know has an outstanding attitude, so it represents an idea. And it's up to them on the real side. It's not a dream. It's an actual real side experience. It's just simply demonstrating what they're deciding but not recognizing. That becomes the difference. And if they do, that's good too, because they start to see something. And so, as people do, psychics for the most part look into the personal astral part of the person, because personal stuff, you know, it's the boy meets girl, it's the drama, it's I like him or she likes me, or the family thing or whatever. It's all the personal things that basically are physical and astral. This is where most of them, they can't see beyond that. I know a very good psychic, and she really can't. She's not interested in seeing beyond that. She likes to stay to the personal side, and her attitude is, I like to help people. Okay, so you like to help them stay right where they're at and be self-convinced and happy with their unawareness. So really, but I can't tell her that because she's very attitude-ish. And so, yeah, what you're seeing there, okay, see, in the real universes, which is the isness, you don't have that. The real universes is not the real side. It's the isness. This becomes the difference. You can have experiences there from the real side in a particular way. You can view things accordingly. But the real you never dies or vanishes, you know, just like Paul explained. No, it's just because we're awareness. We're like the air. We can't be hurt, but we can be trapped in our own ignorance, which is understandable because we have to go through this, because we have to see all this first to be able to recognize what it is, and then to recognize what it is not. That's the most important part. But we decide when we're willing to do that. And so as you ask the questions are particular, okay? Because that's your personal literal self. But if you really want to see what life is, you learn to recognize what's going on. It's that recognition. Now, keep in mind that the real universes are really invisible. You know, you decide if they're visible or not, but they're really invisible. And so again, we have this relationship with appearances, which is really in creation for the most part. And so again, it's very interesting how it is. But no, the individual, like Harry or any of them going to the Phantom Zone of the Queen, that is their awareness being set aside into a position, because see, everybody's going through creation, and they start off, we'll just say like an atom, and they start off like in the little amoeba stage or whatever it is, okay, as little atoms, and they go through the process really very rapidly, because it's just to gain the experience of having that, and then eventually into certain body forms or whatever's next. It's kind of like the lessons that the teacher gave you in school. You just kind of run these people through. And so, but at a certain point, just like in school, the teachers are telling you what to do, and your assignments and this and that, and your parents. But at a certain point, you're on your own. And so this is how it is at a certain point too. After lifetimes, eventually you're making your choices. You have your free will in creation. But the personal, the real awareness, no, it's just simply, you might say, displaced. It's put into an area that it can't do anything to anybody. And if it stays there long enough, again, it's like a sponge, it absorbs. And like the queen, she will go back to an atom. She will start again through creation. And, I'm sure she's done it many times. It's no big deal. I'm sure many of us have. It's no big deal. We always get another chance. And here's the chance right now. And if we let it go, well, then it'll vanish as soon as it came, because, again, you have to hold on to that. And so, but the reality of the individual awareness, because we're all in life, the true reality of life is alive. It's an aliveness. And creation is just a part that is provided to go through a process. That's all. And again, as we go through this process, we start to make creation a reality more so than the true reality, and this is where the confusion comes in, because it's all just creation is what it is. It's a simulation, and so it's what we recognize from it. But again, the institutions and what has been set up in this world, the governments, the education, and all these things, been set up to control others, the monetary system, all of it. You look at the indigenous people, for the most part, the real indigenous people, they didn't do any of this nonsense. Rules and regulations and saying you have rights and whatever. This is all nonsense. And to try and correct that, fine, have fun with it. The thing being is, it will be the same restriction, only it'll look different. Good, bad, right, or wrong, it's still a restriction. There's no difference. So, again, pointing to your real awareness, but you see that, no, but these individuals have made choices. Like Harry, like the Queen, the Kings, whatever, they have made choices to continually harm others. It's like a bully. It's like the bullying they talk about in school. They want to sort the bullies out, because the rest of the children, most of the children, want to keep learning. They don't want to be hassled or whatever. I remember when I went to school, there were bullies there. And so when my daughter went to school, as an example, she had a bully. It was in the 5th grade, this kid. She was in 3rd. So I confronted him. I even first went to the principal to try to be cool. Well, she was a witch. She wasn't listening. And this kid had done this a whole lot. So I confronted him. Even called his dad. He was a knucklehead, arrogant. So I confronted the kid. I simply told him, look, if you don't leave my daughter alone, I found him one day in the schoolyard. I'm going to have a bunch of these bigger kids kick your ass. That really scared him. He didn't bother her again. So it comes to a point. This is where it's come to a point. Enough is enough. These people are displaced. And eventually their personal self will just run out because it's a created self. It's just like your car. You can jump out of it and leave it on, and it can just drive down the road, but eventually it's going to crash. And so it may take a while because it's on automatic. We have created this personal self so much so, such a reality with our real awareness, that it has its own life. And this is where the hassle comes in, is when all of a sudden you really want to start to see things or whatever. The individual, and you're seeing it just by sharing something with this world, it makes sense. Their biggest hassle is with themselves, because they've already set up their ideas, their likes, their dislikes, their happiness, their sadness, or whatever. They've already set it up. And that is very, very conditioned in them. They cling to that because they have nothing else. So it's interesting what's taking place. So again, using the dream idea, and it's really all a dream in creation, But what I've done is I've stepped it up here because the real side idea is to show what's really going on. Not that it's just that, oh, I had a dream and oh, it means this. You know, again, it's another conversation piece. And that's all it goes, just like in the corporation. You know, people have their inner experiences. But who acts upon them? Who really has the courage to act upon them? Even when they see what Harry's doing on the real side, they will deny it. You see? But you two had the courage to step up, and Bob had that experience with Harry, you know, and told him right up because you have the awareness. But you see what's going on. You see how free will is. But the real side is basically that, the real side of the personal self, which is all through creation. In the real universe is you don't need a real side because it's all real. It's the real, you see? Now do you get a better understanding of how it works?